Good evening and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss about Scikit-learn Python library. Scikit-learn Python library is an open source Python library that implement a range of machine learning, pre-processing, cross-validation, visualization algorithm using a unified interface. So today we will learn about Scikit-learning, and in this video we will first talk about what exactly Scikit-learning is, what are the different features, and in third part we'll talk about the modeling process with the help of real life example. And I hope at the end of this video you will be able to understand the skitlearn Python library, purpose of this library, and the modeling process. Before moving forward, I have set some recommendation for you, and I request you to please check these recommendations, go through it, and then move to this particular video. In case of any query, please put your query in comment box. I'll try my best to give the reply of all your queries. As I told you, I have certain recommendations. So my recommendation is please understand first what exactly statistics is and what are the different type of statistical modeling, like classification, regression, clustering, dimension reduction, factor analysis, principal component analysis, linear regression, support vector machine, decision tree, and other type of techniques. Because see, skitlearn is basically a statistical modeling technique, a library for statistical modeling technique. So you must aware of these type of techniques, what exactly these techniques are, and then only you can apply these with the help of skitlearn library. Now if we talk about skitlearn, the first thing that we have to discuss, the first thing that we have to understand is what exactly skitlearn is. So nothing, it's basically a package, a very useful and robust library of machine learning and statistical modeling. This provides a selection of effective tools for machine learning and statistical modeling that includes classification, regression, clustering, dimension reduction, and many more. And this is built on NumPy, SciPy, and Matplotlib. So combination of all three is basically in this. So you can use all these three in this one. Then when we talk about the feature of skitlearn, basically it focuses on the modeling of the data first of all. And when we talk about the modeling, the first category is basically the supervised learning algorithms, in which we have regression and linear regression, SVM, decision tree, and many more. Then of course, unsupervised learning algorithms also, clustering, factor analysis, principal component analysis, unsupervised neural network. Then when you say clustering, specifically we'll go for the clustering in this. The clustering is basically where we talk about the grouping of unlabeled data. So what we do is we have a number of data, we group this data into different. So this is basically the clustering. Then cross validation, it used to check the accuracy of supervised model on unseen data. So cross validation is of course one of the most important thing. Then we talk about the dimension reduction. Dimension reduction is one of the statistical technique in which what we do is we suppose we have a 30 or 50 attributes. We reduce down these attributes from 50 to 20 so that we can summarize easily, we can visualize the data. We'll go for a number of other information from that. Then feature extraction is another area used to extract the feature from the data to define the attributes in images and text. So if you want to talk about the images and text, then you have to talk about the feature extraction. Feature selection used to identify useful attributes to create supervised model. So these are basically the different type of features of skitlearn, or with the help of skitlearn we can apply all these. Then comes to the modeling process, the third part, the modeling process. The modeling process is basically easy to define, but a bit difficult to implement, because in this you have to write number of codes to define the model. Anyway, it's not so difficult that you can't do it. You have to do the practice, and of course you are able to do that. Now, when we talk about the modeling process, the most important thing is the data set and the loading of the data set. Now, what exactly data set is? Data set is a collection of data. So normally any type of data that we have is basically a data set. So number of data sets are available that you can use it. Now data set has basically two part. One is called feature. So feature means the all the variables of the data set. All the variables of the data is called the feature, divided into two parts: feature matrix and feature name, that I'll tell you later on. Then the second one is basically the response. So response is basically the output variable. Then it is the output variable that basically depend upon the feature variable, normally known as target also. Now when we talk about response again categorized in two. One is called response vector. So this represent the column, means only one column will be there, response vector, what type of response it is, and then the target name. So it is represent the possible value taken by the response vector. So one column, number of values. So might be one, of course there is a one column, so one variable, and maybe one or more than one responses over there, right? More than one values, of course. Again, that will, again I'll explain this at the time of example. So this is the first thing. This is about the data. Now, when I am talking about this modeling process, I am basically taking the skitlearn ARIS data. So skitlearn have few example data set, that is ARIS and digits for classification, and Boston house price for regression purpose. So ARIS and digit we can use for classification, and if you have to use for regression, you can use Boston house price also. I'm using the ARIS because I'm talking about the classification. I want to tell you about the entire process. So I'm going to tell you how classification is used. Then, so I have taken the database. I have to upload this database. Now the next step is the most important thing, and we have to understand this. The next step is splitting the data into two pieces. One is training set and the other one is testing set. Now, why we do this? This is the most important step. Normally what happens is when we are talking about machine learning is basically where we want my machine to learn, so that it automatically gives us the reply on the basis of their learning. Like what we do is we learn from the books material, and then we finally give the answers in the exam by our own, right? The same type of learning here. So what we do to learn the machine, whatever the data set we have, we divide this data set into two parts. The first part is training set. The first part is known as the training set, and the second part is known as this testing set. So what we do is, with the help of training set, we train the machine. We train our machine with the help of training set. And once the machine is trained, we use the testing set to understand whether the machine is giving the right reply or not. So for that purpose, we have to split the data. Of course, once data is uploaded, we have to split the data. And after splitting, as I am talking about the classification methodologies, what I am doing is I am using KNN algorithm. known as k nearest neighbor algorithm for classification purpose. And what exactly this k nearest neighbor? Of course, the name represent that if suppose I have 1000 data classified into 2 or 3 part, 1000 data in 3 different part, 3 different group, right? This is done with the training, and with the testing I find that my machine knows everything. Now if I'll give any specific data from outside to the machine will tell us that this data belongs to which particular group, right? So what machine will do? Machine will use the algorithm and the nearest match, it will catch and give you the reply on the basis of that, right? So this is basically related to the theory part of. Let me take the example with the help of Jupyter Notebook. Let me just give you, wait, yes, hope this is visible to you all. Now let's move down to Jupyter Notebook. Yes, hope this is visible to you all. Now this is the first box where I have import sklearn because I am using sklearn. I use k-means module. I use panda. I use sklearn data set, imported load arrays, right? And matplotlib because I am going to draw one figure also, and this is what I will tell you later on. Now, so first thing that let me just show you what exactly the data is all about, right? So I have drawn a scatter diagram, right? It's with the scatter diagram of the data. So data is loaded, the first step, right? And we have data and we have target. Two variables are there, x and y. And let me just just a minute. Yeah, let me just see. This process is going on. Star is there. So once this will be done, it will convert into number. It's basically loading the libraries. Yeah, this is done. Now let me just show you. Yeah, so yes, this is what exactly the data is, right? This is what the data you have. Now this data, this erase data is basically related to the data of the flower, or this is basically data related to the flowers. And we have 3 different classes of the flower: setose, versicolor, and the virginica, right? And this categorization is based on the sepal width and sepal length, right? So this is what I have drawn to give you the idea what exactly this data. I'm just going to show you the data also, the more data also. Now in this, if you see, this is the first category, that is setose, and these 2 categories are very close to each other, or almost overlapping to each other, right? The green is versicolor and the virginica, yellow is virginica. So these 3 type of flower on the basis of their categories, right? Now let me just show you what type of data it is. So feature name is one of the variable, in which what I did is this is the database, and the database feature name, as I told you, feature name is basically the variable name, and target name is basically the categories, right? So I have taken the target name. Now with the help of print statement, these 2 things are printed: feature name as well as target name. Let me just remove this one from here, and then this is. So feature name, sepal length, sepal width, petal width, 4 variables, and the target is 4 categories: setose, versicolor, vernica. Yeah, right. Just let me now show you the data. Now this is what the data is. So this is data 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 records. By default, it's give you 5 records. Of course, you have 150 records, but 5 records in which sepal length, sepal width, petal length. On the basis of this particular data, it is categorized either in these 3 categories, right? Any 1 or 2 or 3 categories. So this is what the data we have. Now what we have to do is, we have to divide this 150 data, the entire 150 data, into 2 parts, right? The first is training set and the second one is test. So training set and test set. So first I'll divide it. What we did is, this is already this is already done. We have taken the train test split module, and of this module we are using this function called train test split function, in which what we are doing is, we are using the data and target both x and y. Test size is 0.3 and random state is 1, right? So test size is basically 0.3, means 30%. So what I am doing is, the entire data will be divided into 70 and 30. 70 is basically the training set and the 30 is basically the test set. And random state is basically always have 1, so it will give you the exact 70 and 30, right? And I have printed. So let me just show you. Total 150 data. Out of 150, 105 is training, 45 is basically test, training, y and test, right? So what happened is, this is target, the categories, right? So that's why only one column is there, right? So 105 data is for training purpose with 4 column, 45 data is for testing purpose, 4 column, 105 is basically for training purpose and 45 is basically for testing purpose. So the data is split into 2 parts. Now here, till here you already done, right? Need not to repeat it. What I did is, because I have to use KNN, so I have imported K neighbor classifier module, right? And then matrix module, because I have to print the matrix also. Now K neighbor classifier function, I use n neighbor is equal to 3, only because we have 3, right? And classifier underscore knn, this is the variable, dot fit train. So to train x and train y. So I'm giving the training to my, so to train my system machine, I use classifier underscore knn dot fit. Then once this is done, training is done, I use k test to predict the value, how it is reacting, how the machine is reacting, and the variable is stored in y underscore prid. And what I'm doing is, I'm basically, with the help of y underscore prid, I am basically printing the accuracy, that how much accuracy score we have with at the time of testing. So let me just remove this one and let me just show you. So it is saying 98.9833333, it's something around 98% accuracy. So when I'm testing, when I'm training my machine and testing, it is giving us 98% accuracy. It means out of 100, 98 times you will get the right result, right? Now what I'm doing is, this is done. So now what I'm doing is, I am basically taking, let me just remove, yes, yeah, I am taking some 2 data. This is data 1, data set 1, and this is data set 2. Now I am taking data with 4 column, because I have sepal length, sepal width, petal length, petal width, right? The same is here, and I want to know that to which category this data belongs to, right? So I have taken predict, I have given the sample and basically printed the prediction result. and let me just go it. It is saying that the first example is basically a versicolor, and the second one is basically of Virginica. Now let me just go to another one, another example. I'll set one space, one comma, and let me just set those, right? So let me just give 3, 4, 3, and then go for it. This is settles 2, 2. This is settles 2. This is settles. This is versicolor, right? So by giving the different type of data, what machine is doing, machine is giving you the which category it belongs to, right? And this is the last, when you have to keep the desired algorithm for future purpose. What you do is you click, say, classified underscore knn with this name, and you just save it. And oh, there is some error. So might be there is some error. This is what basically the command, exact command is. Normally this command used to have errors, so I have to check what basically the reason is. Anyway, so I hope things are clear to you all, and you are able to understand everything starting from first point to the last point. In case of any query, of course, you can put things on in comment so that I can give you the reply on that. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.